Mike Huckabee pisses me off.
Yeah.
And we were talking about some stuff before the show. We won't get into what we were talking about before the
Yeah,
show too much
it's
because we would
more
go off on a tangent.
speculation.
Um, that said, we do need to address just real quick. I'm going to say this. We can stop gun violence in this country if we
Oh, yeah.
just change a few laws and do a few things that are right, because the Constitution is amendable. And we could amend the Constitution to stop allowing weaponry and clarify and amend the Second Amendment. Do you hear the words I'm saying, people in the crowd? Amendment. I know I'm being kind of condescending at the moment, but I'm being very serious. Like, we need to amend the fucking Constitution. Like, it is time to amend the fucking Constitution because it's been, what, 50 years since the last amendment? And we've come to find out that guns really suck at this point. Like, we're literally the only people killing ourselves on guns outside of countries that are war torn. Like,
Mhm.
yet we call ourselves a first world country.
Oh, we don't have a
I
lot of things
digress.
that many first world countries have. We don't have universal health care. We don't have annual leave of at least 30 days. Most countries have actual vacation months. They don't have 2 weeks for the rest of their life. Most of them actually have times when when I was abroad on the Navy, almost every place I went closed for 2 hours in the middle of the day, and everyone went home and ate together and then went back to school or work.
Oh, a
We
siesta.
don't do that here.
I would
We
love
don't have.
siestas. That would be great.
I know there's no focus on family here. For all of the focus on the family they claim, there is nothing to make having a family easy in this country.
It's because it was never about, well, it was. It was always about a bastardized version of family. Because if we want to talk about who our main subjects are today, are the Huckabees,
Mm-hmm.
because my governor, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, and her father, Mike Huckabee, suck. Like, just suck. They're the worst.
Right.
They're the worst type of people out there. They're the worst. And I say that full well knowing our president is allegedly a pedophile. They're the worst type of people too, because they hang out with pedophiles. And they, in fact, cover up pedophilia because they covered up Josh Duggar's pedophilia for a while.
Mm-hmm.
They helped cover that up for a very long time. I don't like pedophiles. I have children of my own, and Sarah Huckabee Sanders has children of her own, and she willingly helped keep that a secret. So they're all culpable in this. Republicans hide pedophiles. Republicans who are far-right Christians, who call themselves Christians, because if that's the moniker they want to use, we're going to use it too. They are Christian fascists. They're nationalist Christian fascists. They're Nat-CFs. Like, they're bad at being Nazis, so they're Nazi-Fs. Or Nazi fasts. I want to make something that like makes them sound like pieces of shit and pansies and wusses and the most testicle sounding word I can, because they suck. They're weak, and I'm tired of them ruling our lives, and dictating how we're supposed to respond to things and how we talk about things. Or like anti-Semitism. We can't talk about anti-Semitism without being called anti-Semitic ourselves, half the time. Like, even for things that are, especially for things that are not anti-Semitic. And it's because of people like Mike Huckabee, who is our ambassador to Israel, which is one of the reasons we bring him up, and I bring him up, is I want to make sure that we talk about people who are important, like key figures right now that are hurting our life and trying to bring about Armageddon and the end times. And that's Mike Huckabee. So, Lisa, I know you have some stories queued up. about Mike Huckabee. So have at it.
Yeah.
Have at it, ma'am. I want to hear what you got.
Okay. Here's one, and I'd be interested in finding out where it is. But let's start the one I have in forward, which is a Jewish independent nonprofit newsletter.
Okay.
And this was actually predicting pretty much what would happen, because this was when he was nominated for ambassador. This is not where we are now. So this is chilling when you think about it. And here's a paragraph, and it says the goal of the ideology that Huckabee preaches, although the specifics are often left unarticulated, is the removal of Palestinians from the biblically defined land of Israel to facilitate Christ's return. This extreme position goes farther than that of even the most rightward Israeli settlers. But to Huckabee and those who share his views, it is a matter of preordained fate. And along with their belief that this is God's long-term plan comes a total removal, I want to stress that, of any sense of personal or collective guilt for the roughly 43,600 Palestinians who have been killed by Israel's war in Gaza. This is before
Hold
we
on.
got to where we
They
are.
just give up their guilt. They're just like, we're not
It's
guilty.
all God's will.
Oh,
Who can be
ooh.
guilty if it's God's will that all those people get massacred?
I love how that Christian nationalist Christians.
Mm-hmm.
I love that the Nazis have decided that they don't have to be guilty about anything. Like, what a wonderful existence it must be to be so free of guilt that God will have it for you. God will just take care of it. You can do whatever the fuck you want in this life,
Oh no,
and
it's not that you
nobody.
can't do that. Don't go there. That is inaccurate. I mean, they actually believe that, you can't behave as a gay or you'll go to hell.
Oh,
In
yeah,
fact,
you're
they
right.
believe
You're
they
right.
should
You're right.
shoot you if you are
You're
gay.
right.
Well,
You're
they
right.
actually think they should stone you to death for whatever reason.
You're
They
right. You're
think that
right.
they should stone you if you wear women's clothing and you're male, or wear male's clothing as a female. They
Yep.
think they
Yep.
should stone you for having an abortion. They think they should stone you if you're not married and have sex. I mean, they have a long list of things you can't do, but
Unless you're
genocide is legal.
white, unless you're white and straight. If you're white
Yes,
and
if
a
you're white
male
and
who's
straight.
straight-ish, straight
Right.
enough that you can bully people into believing you're straight all the time, then yeah, you can get away
You
with
you
whatever you
bully
want.
them into behaving straight is what you
Yeah.
do.
Bully them into behaving. Ooh, I
I
hate
don't
that.
I
I
don't
hate
want
that,
to
but I'm going to
sound
use
bitter
that.
or anything as somebody who lived the obedient life for so long. Um, and I'm one of those people that I was talking to another friend here on Facebook today, and they posted something and they didn't get a good response from it. And they're somebody who studied a lot of different religions, and they were like, da 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 da. I said, well, I haven't studied those. For me, I sit there and I constantly re-examine my position on everything and try to make sure they're consistent. Like if I'm anti-abortion, I should be anti-death penalty, and these people aren't. Though
Yes.
I am anti-death penalty because of the work of the Innocence Project and all of those people who have been on death row that they have found, you know, information that proves they're innocent, and we were going to put them to death. To me, there is no excuse for the death penalty, because if we do it even wrong once, we are sanctioning murder by the state, not punishment. So
Yes.
so I
Yes.
constantly reevaluate every position I have based on what I think is truth, what I think is
I
accurate, what I think is consistent with my other positions, and they're constantly evolving as I try to have an ethical framework that I find defensible.
I am hesitant to say that I do not believe the death penalty should be allowed.
It's a hard
Only
thing to feel.
only because I believe, and this is where it becomes hard, is because
Right,
when people start doing like fake and phony trials and things
right,
like when justice is perverted, the death penalty should not be allowed.
correct.
When
That's
justice is attained and
right.
justice is met without fear or favor, And
Mhm.
that's the key part, is it has to be truthful justice without fear or favor.
Right.
That that is when the death penalty can be allowed, because that is when you can actually charge through treason, like through
Correct.
things like treason against the
Right.
top. Like, but it has to be like foundational and like functional. Like, like it can't just be made up bullshit.
Right.
Um,
And
because that's not fair, like to anybody, and that's not truth.
in the Innocence Project things, they often find investigations where they start with wanting to get somebody convicted and then just try to find the evidence for them. And until
Yeah.
we have quit mouthing off to me, goodness.
Yeah,
I'm getting yelled
that's
at by my cat.
that's why I like my dogs. They don't actually, no, never mind. I can't say that. My dogs do yell at me. I have one dog that freaking yells at me all the time. He's a jerk. Um,
She bites me when I don't do what she wants. So
well,
she
I have
likes
one, he's mouthy. But ooh, I don't like, I'm not a cat person because I'm allergic to cats. Um, but I have one dog that you would swear is like half husky, because all he
Mhm.
does is talk at you.
Oh,
But
yes,
he has
they are very talkative
no
dogs.
husky in him, zero husky in this dog. But he just sits there and tap, 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 like, let me outside all day long, all day long.
Now
Um,
I'm reading,
okay. Yeah. Back to
um,
Huckabee though, because
back to Huckabee.
that's where we're here. So let's give a little bit of background on Mike Huckabee. Um,
He is a Baptist pastor, which Baptists are very often Christian nationalist type people. The fundamentalist Christianity is very good at creating a very black and white world. And a black and white world makes things very easy to be consistent with, but the problem is that the consistency is often very cruel and it is very limiting. It creates very specific boxes every person has to fit in. And if you don't fit in the box, you're sinning. And if you're
yeah,
sinning, you deserve punishment or death. It is a very, very limited point of view. It really is. And he is a fundamentalist Baptist pastor before he was governor of Arkansas, I believe, before,
yeah,
wasn't he? And then he
yeah,
became national stage when he ran for president. And now his daughter, after being the um, spokesperson for the first Trump administration, is now governor, from what I
yeah.
understand.
Yeah, so Mike Huckabee overall, yeah. I don't I'm not gonna claim to be his um biography. However,
Mhm.
we'll read some of his like Wikipedia page, because I don't here's a key for all of you in the crowd. If you want to look things up on Google without AI and get just simple Google answers again, do dash AI after you're done. Like space, then dash AI, and it'll get rid of the AI search at the top.
Hmm.
That way you can get all your actual like articles and stuff about people. And so let's get into, you got to get into a lot with Mike Huckabee. Let's see here, Mike Huckabee. Oh, that's why I was looking at the background of him with the Duggars.
Yeah.
Um, is
I do have some quivering stuff up too. Since you
yeah,
brought up the Duggars, and Quiverpool is a big part of that.
um, yeah. Let's get there in a sec. Just quick. Okay, Mike Huckabee, governor, Arkansas, 1907 to 2007. He's obviously a Republican. You already covered the Southern Baptist minister.
Mhm.
Unsuccessful runs for president in both 2008 and 2016, so he's run twice. Um, he was born in Hope, Arkansas. Um, And other than that, and his ambassadorship to Israel, the only other thing he's really of note for is being really far right conservative and having his own. So, like, he's just a TV host basically at this point, where he's a broadcaster that turned, or he's a televangelist.
Hmm.
It might be the best way to describe him, is he's a
Okay.
televangelist.
He
And
was? I had never seen him on television. I
no, 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 no. I've
kind
never
of left.
seen him on TV either, but I think he's a televangelist just in style. Like, he
Oh,
evangelizes every time he talks. And he
well, a
spent a
lot of
lot of
Christians
time,
do that.
yeah, but I think we need to then call them televangelists, because that's what they do. They evangelize through TV and they use it really successfully.
Oh, yeah.
Um, I mean, they pushed this country really far right over 40 years, so I guess they've televangelized pretty well. Um, Sorry to pull you over on that.
Oh, no, no,
Um,
it's okay because having grown up in a family that watched several televangelists every Sunday after church to get more in, um, it's like, I don't remember him on the television, and I remember so many of those guys.
I don't. Oh, did you watch, like, were you part of like the 700 Club or whatever that is?
My husband actually watched the 700 Club occasionally.
What a
Yes,
weird thing.
it was. I tell you, some of those things really bothered me because they were so focused on money. I mean, I
Yeah,
hate to
that's
say
all it
this, but
is.
they were all about the money. And it was always about we need, support for this and that. And they have their own airplanes and they have $1 million houses and they're begging for money constantly. And you're going, what in the world? I mean, was it Paula? Who was it that announced that he had to have a plane bought for him or God was going to take him home?
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
It was
Um,
so so bad. It's like, really? I don't think God said that to you. Like, oh shit. Who was that? But yeah, I mean, and if you were raised in this stuff, it's even crazy.
Kenneth
Hey, his
Copeland,
last
was it
week was
Kenneth Copeland?
no, no, it wasn't Kenneth Copeland. Televangelist. I'll just Google it so I don't drive myself crazy. Who wanted
There's
air?
Jesse Duplantis, Kenneth Copeland, Jerry Savelle, Joyce Myers, Creflo A. Dollar,
Yeah,
Paul and
Creflo
Jan,
Dollars. It says here Jesse Duplantis, but that's recent. Um,
Mark
yeah, apparently
Barclay.
recently someone named Jesse Duplantis told his followers they had to buy him a $54 million private jet because Jesus wouldn't ride on a donkey. I want you to believe in me for a Falcon 7X. This was done January. Oh, and Kenneth Copeland is worth over 760 and has been demanding a plane too. These people, I don't
These people are
understand their
so.
plane issues.
Pat Robertson has called
Oh,
non-Christians termites, Hindus demonic, and blamed the 9/11 attacks on, among other, feminist LGBTQ people
oh yeah.
and the ACLU.
Yeah.
Robert Pattinson, Pat Robertson.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus, that was a slip
Yeah.
of the P and the R. Pat Robertson. Yeah, the jet he demanded starts at $500,000. Like, that money could go to kids and to help people. Um, there was
Yeah.
Jesse Duplantis that we were
Yeah,
thinking
yeah, but
of.
there was one a lot earlier. Jesse Duplantis was in this year. This is long ago.
Yeah, like, these
Um,
people are nuts.
yeah. They're Creflo Dollar asked for one apparently in 2015. Um
These people are
apparently all these
nuts.
televangelists really want their own plane. And
Yeah, like, why Oral Roberts? I think that was the big famous, or just in general, just any of them. Just like,
yeah. What have
what's the
you
guy in Texas that keeps
Oh, let's see, I think Kenneth Copeland's out of Texas, isn't he?
yeah, I'm talking about the one who um I think he's in Houston or something, and he has a couple mega churches,
Joel
televangelist.
Osteen.
Joel Osteen,
Yeah,
that guy.
he's what do they call that? Prosperity gospel guy. He not only says that you're that you need to believe in God, but that if you believe in God enough, you're going to be rich.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes, Carrie, the one who would not open his church for flooding victims. Yep, Joel Osteen. And there's T.D. Jakes and Kenneth Copeland there too. Kenneth Copeland's from Word of Faith. And T.D. Jakes, I think he's Baptist, isn't he? Founder and Bishop of Potter's House, non-denominational church in Dallas. Jimmy Swaggart is out of Louisiana, but has Texas. And Jim Baker apparently had some history that comes from Texas and beyond too. So there's several that have been Texas evangelical / televangelist people.
It's interesting that how Texas does it bigger and better than everybody else.
And they all need their own plane. Dang it.
Oh yeah. Yeah. What is it with billionaires and these like money laundering creeps who want private planes?
It's a status symbol among them.
Yeah.
It's like us getting a new car. They get a new plane. And it's better than their old plane.
Does it come with children to traffic in the plane, or is that like extra?
I think that's extra.
Do they have to, is that a bonus? Is that like
so.
the extra godly bonus?
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe two crowns of or crown of thorns that they get to have on the side. If you get the third one, it's almost like putting together the Audi fucking symbol in the front of the car, or the Olympics rings of freaking crown of thorns that you use for your private jet. Each one is its own crown. Collect them all. Gotta collect them all.
When you bring up children, that kind of goes into quiverful.
Yeah, go. Can you jump into that? I'm gonna go off camera for a moment.
Dangerous. You can look for other stuff while I do quiverful for a bit here. Quiverful, I don't know if you've ever heard of this. If you have, you already can guess. And the Duggars were part of quiverful. That's why they had 18 kids and counting. And what happens is quiverful takes its name from a verse in the Psalms. So, lo, children are a heritage of the Lord, and the fruit of the womb is his reward. The arrows are in the hand of a mighty man, so are the children of youth. Happy is the man who has his quiver full of them. So the thing is that they believe that it is disobedient to have any kind of family planning. You are supposed to rely on God to create your family at whatever size it's supposed to be. And the really strong adherents will even have kids when they are told that it will kill them, because they are told that they must be obedient to God to the extent that they have as many babies as God provides for them. And I've known 2 women who were in quiverful who continued having babies after they were warned that their uterus would no longer handle it correctly. One luckily quit getting pregnant by some miracle, and the other one moved to Alaska, and I have no idea if she ever quit having children voluntarily. They had 11 children. They couldn't afford them. One of them suicided, and the church had to constantly give these people money for their kids because they couldn't afford. They gave them a house. Somebody gave them a house they didn't pay for, and they still couldn't afford to pay for 11 kids. And the dad became a federal firefighter in Alaska, and they moved to Alaska to afford to live better. And that's the last I heard from them. And quiverful is very frightening because it totally takes away a woman's autonomy, to be honest. You're nothing but a baby incubator at that point. And, of course, a parent that does all of the teaching for the other kids. Carrie, it's a similar, but it isn't. This is a lot more like Catholicism, where even a condom is illegal. But usually all fundamentalist religions, when you have them, all seem to have a very limited role for women, which is serve up men make babies, and that's about it. Everything is under a man's control and a man's necessity, and women don't get to count for much. And so 18 children is what's going to happen if you honor your husband by having sex with him whenever he wants and are fertile. Oh, 1,000
Yeah,
wives. That sounds a
that's
lot like LDS now.
yeah, it does. It's very interesting how all of these groups really all just they tend to overlap so much
Hmm.
in very different segments, but it's all most of it, it's all based on a patriarchal system where it's forced into a woman is a vessel of some sort. She's a quiver. Which is which is a really gross way to describe a woman. And like, and or a penis. Because that's sort of the other euphemism right there is a
You
quiverful.
you get you
Um,
get so isolated when you have nothing to do but take care of children and be in church. You end up isolated with only other people that are like you. And most of these people, if they're like I was way back when, they only listen to Christian radio stations, they only have Christian friends, and they get very isolated in a world where there aren't a lot of places that they can get away from it. And it's very.
it's Mitt Romney
Mhm.
is a part of this in a lot of ways, as from a BBC article from 2013. So this is an old article at this point. But it says a Christian evangelical movement where followers avoid contraception and have as many children as they can is spreading to the UK. They are the quiverful, writes Cat McShane. Get married, and here starts, quote, get married, have a quiver full of kids if you can, end quote. So said unsuccessful presidential candidate and father of five, Mitt Romney, in a recent speech to graduates. It was a conscious echo of Psalm 127.
Right.
Um, and so this is very LDS. It's no, when you said it sounds very LDS, it's because it is very LDS. Like this
But
is,
there are other places that do it. It
oh,
isn't
absolutely.
specifically an
But
LDS thing.
it's that crossover section, not specifically of one faith,
It's the
but of the
fundamentalist part
system.
that does the crossover.
Yeah.
Because there's fundamentalist Catholicism that is actually an older version of what we're seeing in Christian nationalism. Um, that I had that up last time, and I don't have it up now. But there is a Catholic version of the same movement that's going
Opus
on.
Dei.
No, no, there's another name for there's another name for the Catholic part of the national the nationalist movement.
Oh,
Um,
yeah, we were talking about it last time.
yeah, and it also falls into the whole um the whole thing too. I can't remember what the name is of the Catholic nationalism. It's a specific type. In fact, it goes back into the late 1900s or late 1800s, and of course goes back even farther into the fact that it used to be that Pope actually ruled the world. But Opus Dei is a sect inside of Catholicism that is definitely very Christian nationalist in its point of view, though it didn't really seem to start that way.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's the one with for that JD Vance sort
right,
of is like
right.
a
Christian, wait, I had it for a second. Catholic integralism
yeah, there
is
it
what it's
is.
called.
Is that
And
what JD Vance converted to?
um, he
Because
he
he went out, he went way
yes, he
out
did.
there. Um,
I'm not sure what different groups follow it. I'm sure there's more than one, but it teaches that the subordination of the state to Catholicism. So it's
yeah,
a little different because it actually goes back farther because there was a time when when the whole world was, well, the whole known world was ruled by the Catholic Church. during, the late, well, let's see, what was that? During the Middle Ages, the church actually even set forth kings, and the kings had to be below the church until a certain English king didn't like the fact that he couldn't get divorced from his wife and started his own religion. um, Now on Quiverful, there was a thing I had up here. Where am I? Here it is.
Yeah.
A Vice interview with a former Quiverful turned activist, Vicki Garrison. Says, while there are influential authors and speakers in Quiverful, there is no central leader. The family is led by the father, is its own power structure, and controls everything about the members' lives. Children are often educated in the home, married early. Wives are expected to have and raise children full-time, while husbands are expected to be sole providers of their families. And because it is so insular and because you are so busy, it is very hard to get out of. It really is, because you're usually fairly poor. There aren't a lot of them that are successful like the Duggars. And I'm sure part of the reason they did the TLC thing was to get more income, because it was hard even for them. But they were pretty well set as far as I know.
Yeah. I mean, the Duggars had, up until recently, a fairly huge mansion, not too far from where I am. And I actually flew on a plane next to one of the Duggar boys at one point a couple of years ago.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't even realize it. I think it was last year, 2 years ago now. It was one of the younger boys, who's an adult now. And I figured it out at one point, and I was like, oh, I don't care. I didn't bother the dude. Other people were talking to him, and I was like, I don't care, and I don't want to talk to this guy.
One thing that alarms me about all of this, of course, is the homeschooling.
Yes.
In homeschooling, you are taught their version of the Constitution. You are taught what is wrong, quote unquote, with the Constitution, in that, they think women shouldn't vote. So they actually want the repeal of that amendment. They actually would prefer the repeal of the amendment that allows us to drink again, to be honest, because most of them are teetotalers. They expect...
Boring.
Oh, I know, it is, isn't it? But no, homeschooling, the children get told a very, quote unquote, biblical worldview. They are also told that they are being prepared to take over the country for God. I mean, they
Yes.
even created Patrick Henry University for the homeschooling kids that couldn't get into other colleges, to prepare them directly to serve in Washington as pages, as future elected officials, etc. And the women there are literally prepared to become the wives of those types of people. They are not prepared for anything else. They're expected to be there to get their MRS degree and be prepared to provide the right support to help take over, as the Dominionism goes, all facets of the world for God's service.
And I
that's
think
when it gets scary.
I think part of the key in there is the Dominionism portion,
Mhm.
because in the end, it doesn't actually matter which type of Dominionism,
Right.
or like which sect of Dominionism it is. It's all Dominionism.
Correct.
And like each Dominionism, like each topic of it is a pillar of the Seven Mountain Mandate. Like
Right.
there's a reason there's a diaspora of groups, because they didn't care which one won. In the end, it became about the philosophy of the pillar itself, or
Mhm.
the mandate from God. And
Mhm.
it's all wrapped into one overarching thing. Even if they're loosely tied together, they're all
Right.
on the same goal. Like they literally are all on the same journey together of searching for the apocalypse, or bringing about the apocalypse. They're just bringing a different part of, like, they're starting a different segment of it
Right.
to um, own the military. Pete Hegseth, for example, is a would be considered a pillar now on the mountain, um, because he is owning our
Military.
military, and he's turning it into a functional crusader, crusades organization and crusading organization. Like that is
Hmm.
where he would want that to go. Which is part of the Dominionist campaign to get women back at home and out of the armed forces. Pete Hegseth has kicked all sorts of women out of the armed forces, off of all of the competent women leadership in the DoD, all of the admirals, all of the generals. If you were a woman, doesn't matter if you were white, black, brown, like any mix, doesn't matter. You were a
Hegseth
woman,
actually
you were
goes.
out.
Hegseth actually goes to a Christian Reconstructionist church, and
And they're just nuts. We've talked about him a lot, but
yeah,
like let's getting him, because Pete Hegseth sort of ties into Huckabee anyways because he's
yeah,
an ambassador. Or Huckabee is, but Huckabee's really where the Huckabees are really where we want to focus. And I think too is maybe we draw some distinctions between IBLP, which is what we talked about last week,
hmm,
and Bill Gothard
right.
versus
He's a
um
big person behind the Duggars.
yeah, versus Quiverful, because
Mhm.
they're similar but they're not the same. Um
You can be one and not the other, or you can be both. Is a
yeah,
better way to describe it.
yeah. Yeah, that makes sense. They are merit badges of fascism. Um, would that be maybe like a
Um,
lifestyle of fascism?
I don't think. I think calling them fascists themselves would probably just make them angry because they don't believe that being Christian can make you fascist.
Well, they're Christian
But it's
fascists, so
definitely a yeah. It's definitely a world where there is a very strict hierarchy, very strict leadership. Um, One thing about the
leadership of one.
Reconstructionism, though, is that Reconstructionism ultimately its goal is to totally get rid of the federal government
Yeah.
and have little areas that are pretty much ruled by their churches with Old Testament law. And this is called creating a theonomy. And if you break any of the Old Testament law, you receive the Old Testament punishment for it. So if you are a lesbian or gay or trans, you get stoned to death. If
Yes.
you are um if you are a man, as long as you don't have sex with another man's wife, you can have sex with her, but you have to marry her. So
Yep.
once again, women are all
Women
about
are
making,
vessels.
yes, we're all about being vessels and nothing else. And in the Old Testament, men had more than one wife. So they are all about men having as many women as they want. The only time a man can get in trouble for having sex is if he has sex with another man's wife. Other than that, they're great. Um, when I was taught, I've said this before, but not all of you've heard it. When I was first preached Old Testament law, the person who was teaching it said, the first time we stone a teenager for mouthing off to their parents, we will have the best behaved youth in the world. He was happy
Which
at
is
the idea
so
of killing teenagers
awful.
by stoning them to death. And
Yeah.
that's just horrifying. And I didn't stay much longer at that church after that. And
No, I
another thing
mean,
to realize is Trump isn't the whole problem. We get rid of Trump and we just get another person doing it. We
yes.
don't end this just by getting rid of Trump. And people can go, well, as soon as Trump is gone. No,
Yeah.
that
And
is not how it works.
I think that's really the next step in all of this is like let's just imagine for a moment that this elderly gentleman who is, and I'll use the word gentleman loosely, and really very, very, very loosely, um, this elderly figure is sitting in the White House and one day doesn't wake up. Like, I mean, at some point, there's going to be a morning when we all wake up and we get the news. Like, and when that happens, the next person in line is a Catholic nationalist and is a Catholic fascist, has become one anyways. And that's J.D. Vance. J.D. Vance was put there for a reason. He was put there by the religious and the tech sects of the right wing side of our country. He was put there because of the tech, because he is a tech investor. He was a angel investor. He liked to give money to people, or give other people's money to other people and make it look like he had a lot of money by being in the middle doing jobs that were useless. And that's pretty much what he did. Like, tech investors like him are useless a lot of the time. But he made a name for himself and he shifts his values to whatever fits the narrative the best. And he is owned by the tech industries, with his buddies in the PayPal mafia. So Peter Thiel, Elon Musk, the Curtis Yarvin wing of the world, who believe that the world is it's the most nihilist view you could possibly ever have about the world, or nihilistic. I guess they don't really care because it's nihilism. Who gives a shit if you pronounce it right? Right. You're dead anyway. And so he's worse. He is far, far worse. J.D. Vance is far, far worse.
He's an
than
acolyte
Donald
of
Trump.
Yarvin.
Yes, he's an acolyte of Yarvin. He is also Peter Thiel's protege. He worked under Peter Thiel. Peter Thiel funded him. Peter Thiel is notoriously nihilistic and notoriously evil, and has a worldview of humans don't need to exist. He also is a major player in Palantir, which J.D. Vance has a lot of money soaked away into, or at least Stephen Miller does. But J.D. Vance has a lot of influence soaked into, and that's Big Brother. And if we don't talk about that, there are some divisions between Musk and Thiel. So let's not cross over Musk and Thiel. They don't really like each other anymore. There were some falling outs around.
Yeah, that's because Musk was
after PayPal. The PayPal mafia is a thing, and it's the South African apartheid group that came in and just bought the internet basically and turned it into their little playground. But Musk and Thiel they have some differences because they have different opinions on what the end game is. Musk actually thinks humans should live, but they should live as his little cyborg servants or whatever bullshit he wants. He stole Stephen Miller's wife to be a part of, and concubine thing. But Thiel is nihilistic and doesn't care if society lives. Musk does. Musk wants to live, whereas Thiel doesn't give a shit. Musk only wants to live because he wants all the power and money. And they're the ones, though, they've worked together to own Vance. And now they own DHS and the entire defense industry, and now internal policing and security industry. And they want to destroy the government, tear it down, reform it into little Christian tech theologies, of whatever's left.
Do you believe that Thiel and Yarvin are Christian, or do you believe they're just using it to get what they want?
I don't think any of them are actually Christian. I think they're all using it. I think they are, and they're not. I think they are because they have maybe bought into their own lies and bullshit and have convinced themselves that they're Christian. Like Donald Trump. Let's take Donald Trump for example, because we have to, because he is one of those examples of people who doesn't believe in God at all, never did, never had anything to do with God. Yet here he is at the end of his life saying, I just want to make sure I go to heaven. I want to do what I can to go to heaven. Well, that's something Donald Trump would have never said before, but he's saying it now. And he's bought into the the nationalist Christian lie, or the nationalist Catholic lie, whichever one. He's bought into the Nat-C lie, that their version of Christianity is peace through strength or domination. And I think that's what they believe Christianity is. So I think they are Christian in their own minds. They're not Christian to us, to
No.
like what we would believe as like a functioning Christian, but they are, well, that's not true. The Crusaders were Christian. There's been a lot of
Right.
really
There's been a lot of
horrific
misuse of
Christians.
Christianity over the
There's
years.
been a lot of really horrific Christians, and we can't just excuse Christianity for that, because it's like saying, then we have to be willing as a country to excuse Islam for 9/11 and all Muslims for it. We have to be willing to let go of our own bigotry then, because our country is incredibly bigoted against Muslims. And we literally created the word Islamophobic because of it. So yeah, I think they use it, but I think they've convinced themselves that that's what Christianity is, because in a lot of ways it is.
Well, with Trump's history of grift, I actually consider Trump more saying Christian things to keep the base in line than actually being Christian. He comes from Norman Vincent Peale's congregation. I don't know if you know that.
I don't care about Trump's religion. I've never paid attention to his religious values.
Well, Trump believes that he once said he had nothing to ask forgiveness for because he's never done anything wrong. Norman Vincent Peale wrote a book called The Power of Positive Thinking. And though he did have some very, some Christian stuff, he was kind of a little more open about things than the Christian nationalists are now. And obviously Trump didn't take it too seriously since he's been divorced repeatedly.
Most of them have
repeatedly, etc. Repeatedly, yeah, but
toxic positivity, yeah.
That's about right. It really is. As long as you believe something good will come out of it, nothing matters. And it really, it's like ethics are not a big deal for some of these people.
No, and well, I don't know. Ethics are a big deal for them. Morality isn't. But I think they think they're ethically right. I think there is an ethic. I just don't think they have the moral standing that they think they do. Like they're ethically, they think they're right. Like they believe it to their core. Like they think they're right. Morally, they're repugnant.
I can remember, being raised in this, and you were told, and the thing is that my dad had a really good argument about part of it, unfortunately. You are told that you can only go to heaven if you are a Christian. And a friend of mine was a little more open-minded and said, why can't God be reaching everybody with every religion? Some just resonate more than others. And my dad said, well, obviously that can't be true, because if that is true, then Jesus should never have gone to the cross. And so you get this exclusivity that only one possible way is a way to get to heaven. And that's why they don't mind telling everyone how to live, because they figure they at least make you act Christian. And if it's the dominant lifestyle in the world, sooner or later, you're going to suck up and give into it.
Yeah.
And that's not a good thing. I'm just saying that kind of becomes where they end up with this.
Christine, I would actually argue it's a square argument,
Square
because they're
argument.
pretty square. Like, there ain't no circle there.
Yeah.
That was a
And
joke.
backrobe
That
guy's
was a
right.
joke, my friend. Yeah, but like
Mhm.
you're right. They and Ellie said it too in the chat, was like they do think they're morally right.
Mhm.
We know they're not.
Right.
Like ethics is harder to prove, like that you're
Mhm.
ethically wrong because but morality is easier. Like morality is right and wrong pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Um
It,
and
no one should be forced to do anything. No one should be allowed to do anything that harms another person if they can avoid it.
yeah,
You
your
know?
freedom stops at the bridge of my nose.
Correct.
Like you don't get to go any further than that.
Right.
Or your freedom stops at my body, just in general, for
Mhm.
anybody's body. Um, and I think that's where the key. That's why one of these things, and one of the reasons we talk about this so much, and Christian nationalism or nationalist Christians and
Right.
um, Dominionism and deconstructing all of this. And Lisa's an expert in from the inside because she lived through it. So that makes
Yeah.
you an expert. You're a subject matter expert. You lived that experience.
I'm a lifestyle expert. I can
You're
say
a
that for sure.
lifestyle expert. You're a lifestyle queen on that. Um, and but it's so important because we're literally fighting for the moral and ethical fabric of our country right now. And and on top of that, our governmental fabric of this country and our
Mhm.
civic fabric, because the version of Christianity that these folks believe in, nationalist Christianity and nationalist Catholicism, do not work with democracy because they are anti-democratic and
Correct.
anti-constitutional by nature. They are theocratic and theological by nature and a monostructure by nature. They fit with fascism very well.
Mhm.
And that's why far right groups like this, or even very, very, very far left groups too, like we won't exclude the far left because they have merged in a lot of ways, because that's what fascist organizations do. They take populism and they merge it with really, really far right fucking gross ideas. And then they go, regressive populism, let's go, let's take all your stuff and make you feel bad while I'm doing it. Um, is is it's all about the one. Is they have corrupted, they use the Christian ideal of God being the father over all and or the parent over all, and they corrupted that to mean that anyone who hears the word of God or is the anointed of God can't
Mhm.
can't be wrong.
Right.
Because how can you be wrong if God anointed you? God is father over all.
Right.
Um, and that's really scary. Um,
It is. It is. It
and
gives a person a very concrete little thing to point out and go, no, no, I get to do everything because my God said so.
yes,
Um, and
and that
I was in an abusive marriage,
mhm,
and when I went to my pastor for help, I was asked what I was doing to make my husband have to punish me.
mhm. And that's a
That,
very Mike Huckabee philosophy too.
yeah,
Like bringing
I
it back
was,
to who we started this with.
yeah, it is. It's
Um,
also a very Baptist concept.
yeah,
My aunt left her husband because he got arrested for federal charges, and she was kicked out of the choir. Back then, they would not tolerate divorced people. Then so many people got divorced, they had to start letting divorced people in, and they started judging everybody's divorce with a little checklist. Were you left or did you leave? Did you get married again? Da 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 yada yada. I mean, there's a lot of rules, and they keep having to slowly change them. And a real problem with Christian nationalism is keep trying to sell, "Oh, we're just a Christian country." The thing is, there are Christians now that accept LGBTQ. Those Christians will be considered heretics if these people get power completely. They will
yeah,
not be Christian. So any Christian that is United Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church, United States, Community of Christ, all of those will be considered heretics, and they won't be any better than non-Christians to these people. And you need to also know that if you're somebody who like follows Jesus but has deconstructed,
Yeah.
you're still on the list of people that shouldn't do it.
Yeah. Yeah. And one of the things we talked about with these folks was like education. And you mentioned it earlier, is they teach their version of even the Constitution. They
Mhm.
omit amendments and they
Mhm.
omit things. And I wanted to make sure before I said it was that it was true, is Mike Huckabee and his daughter, Sarah Huckabee Sanders, have had interactions with PragerU.
Yeah, they have.
And
In fact, they're getting
they're,
PragerU to interview all of Oklahoma's. Oh no, you guys are Arkansas. Never mind.
I'm in Arkansas, but no,
Right.
you can talk about Oklahoma too. But
Yeah.
PragerU is really dangerous.
They're not a true university.
They're not a true university.
They're not
Um,
even a university.
but also is that I believe the PragerU lessons were actually outlawed in Arkansas on accident.
Oh, really?
Yeah, because the Arkansas Learns Act and the executive order from Governor Sanders prohibit indoctrination in schools. Well, PragerU and Dennis Prager specifically admit that indoctrination is what they offer. And so they cannot be taught in Arkansas schools, public schools, because of it, which makes it really funny because they did that whole, we're going to redistrict ourselves, gerrymander ourselves into oblivion,
Oh no.
or as I'm going to say that this will be kind of obscene sounding, but it's something that Luke said. It's Luke's last brain cell. He's one of the guys on the Find Out podcast, and I like what he said. It's the double-sided dildo of consequences coming to fuck him.
Okay, I can see that.
Because it's fucking them from both sides. They have gone so extreme that they're outlawing their own things. Like
Right.
they have done the thing for us. Like the Learns Act accidentally, which is our school act, which reduces restrictions and allows our kids to need to have unpaid labor hours for high school graduation, but only if you go to public schools. It sets new curriculum restrictions, but it accidentally banned PragerU.
That's
So
excellent.
good for you, Sarah Huckabee Sanders. You did something okay for once.
Accidentally.
On accident. And I won't
Accidentally
give
did
you
something
any
right.
credit for it because accidental greatness in this case does not equal greatness. And I'm okay with that.
Right.
But I want to bring it back before
Yeah, because we're
before I
at
hand
4
it off to
o'clock.
you. Yeah, before I hand it off to you, and I've got another thing going with Ellie Leonard and Zev Shalev in just about 10 minutes. We're going to be talking Money Trail for the Epstein series.
Oh, okay. That's interesting.
Yeah. And Ellie's done some incredible work, and that's Zev's specialty is a deep dive through all the money.
Okay, cool.
And so this is going to be super cool. I'm really just going to be sitting back and learning from these two amazing individuals, like I normally do on a lot of my shows, as I like
Ellie's
hosting.
pretty amazing.
Ellie's fucking awesome. She's in the crowd, so
Yeah, I
Ellie's
saw her. I
go
said hi.
go subscribe to Ellie if any of you haven't already. I'm assuming everybody here has.
She tore apart the big beautiful bill all on her own and did little snippets of it for everybody to understand what was going on.
And bringing it back because we have to talk about Mike Huckabee just at the very end because he sucks. And his daughter doing accidental okay is not. Is that Mike Huckabee is our current ambassador to Israel. He is a Christian fundamentalist and a nationalist Christian who would like to see the end times, would like to see
Yeah.
the world come to an end,
Mhm.
and Armageddon happen. And there is a reason he was made ambassador to Israel. He's been very quiet over the last few weeks. I was looking for recent news of him, and he's been very quiet over the last few weeks, which isn't a good thing from these people. But he did recently fire a staffer.
Oh.
And because they just went sort of out of line from him, and that patriarchal thing, you got to follow that one guy all the way to the end. Is Huckabee, PragerU, things like that, the indoctrination that they're trying to do, they're going to fail. They're going to fail. That's the message I want to give, is they're going to fail because we're stronger and smarter and better than they are. And they are going to bite their own asses and fuck themselves from both ends of this double-sided dildo of consequences, because they're wrong. And Lisa, I'm going to hand it back to you.
Ellie just said that evangelical Christians are living the Left Behind books. It's ironic that she says that because children who were raised during the Left Behind period, which was the 90s, they're wondering what in the world their parents are doing, inviting somebody who puts the Make America Great Again on their heads in that red hat and so on and so forth. They're like, wait a second, I thought we were supposed to avoid the sign of Satan. And really,
Yeah.
one thing I believe is that any religion, and this struck me as a Christian towards the end of this, I was like, why do we think we should have to legislate Christianity if we were to be humble and be the Christians of the first century where they lived together and supported each other and so on and so forth? We would actually create all of these believers because they would want somebody who was kind and serving them and loving them and accepting them and growing them. Instead, we have this people going, I am going to run everything and make you do what I tell you. That isn't what Jesus did. They are antithetical to Christianity. They just don't realize it because they've been indoctrinated. So, but we gotta
Antichrist.
go. Everyone, my friend Nick does a gazillion more things than I do. I just do this because I was raised in it and I see the danger of it. And I do encouragement and a little bit of political commentary. So please follow him for everything under the world. Follow me if you want encouragement, this, and lots of fun on my porch at night.
I love it. Thanks, Lisa. Thank you. Enjoy your evening too. And have fun swinging on the porch tonight.
I will. Bye, everybody.
Bye, y'all.